support system. Um, he had a gun. He could have did any kind of accident out on the farm. He was really isolated. So
He
I
was
kind of
very
felt worried, but I
isolated.
think you did a good job, though. Mhm.
Well, maybe I should have been
Yeah.
so
So
ornery.
you did a good job, and
Maybe since I shouldn't have been so ornery since you're going next, but I felt like I was really throwing you some curveballs there. Um, it goes back to being, the multicultural counselor too. We think of race and gender and all that stuff, but I think from, a small ranching community, I think you kind of picked up on that, Smith, is that, a man of their word, and it's a definitely a unique scenario that I threw at you because he is the only person left. Usually there's some kind of support system, and his only support system was God and the animals or whatever. So that's a tough one. I didn't want to get too ornery with you, but I thought you handled it very well, very well. Um, I think you could have worked the whole man of my word, and given me some open questions to answer. Because there's a few times I became a little defensive. Could you pick up on that?
Yeah, you got pretty guarded and aggressive.
Yeah, but there was also times where you'd ask me a few questions. Next thing you know, I'm like, crap, I opened up to her. Like, I don't know if you noticed the flow of it, but I could tell where I was like trying to stay guarded, trying to stay guarded. Next thing you know, I'm like spilling my guts. Damn it, no. This woman isn't gonna, open me up, and then I go back to the guard, open up. So you did get a good job of getting me to open up several times. So.
I did pick up, like, you'd be, like, digging, and then all of a sudden you'd, like, pack it all back in and sit on top of your hole and say, no, you're not going to hear it. But, like, you brought up, like, you kept saying, well, I'm hoping, and I know all I need is time. Like, you had future talk and future thinking. You said hoping, even though you began saying that you're hopeless. And then you showed insight into past and how you dealt with your mother's death, and then having the support of the dog, and yet saying that you couldn't replace your mom or your dad, but at least you had your dog, and if it came to it, you could replace your dog.
Yeah. I was just trying to think of some unreal ranchers from where I grew up, that would be going through this and trying to give you that situation. But I think you handled it really well. Maybe just some few. I don't know how you'd handle that. I think you did a great job. I'm trying to think of ways to get that person to open up, and maybe some. I don't know. That's tough.
The setting probably wouldn't be therapeutic to someone in that situation. Being in a doctor's office, visiting with their, their physician, who I would just assume is a male, and then having, like you said, this to get this woman off your back.
Right, and I think that when I mentioned multicultural, it's like, you city folk want to talk about feelings and crap, and I'm a hard-ass rancher that, I deal with my thoughts with God, and that's it, and I'm not going to sit here and do this. So, and that is the thought process for a lot of, rural American males, I guess we could throw there, lumped into. So understanding that culture, or that way of life, is definitely helpful, I guess. And maybe that's something that you could dive into, or explain to me how you would deal with things out at the ranch. How do you elaborate more? Why, when you say your dog, and just use the dog thing a little bit more, that just wanting someone to talk, to listen to them, I guess. I don't know.
Okay.
I thought you did a really good job for me throwing on, because I could tell I was being honoring there, and you kept chugging along, so nice job.
Thank you. I'm going to mute myself.
All right, this is John Thayer. I'm interviewing Tammy Steele, and Samantha Sykes is going to be observing. This is Group 5, role play number 5. Here we go. Hello, Tammy. How are you?
Hi, John. I'm doing good.
The reason why I pulled you in here today is because there's been some concern of things that have been going on at home at your house. The concern has been brought to my attention, and we're not going to go over who brought that to my attention, but is there anything going on at home that is been different for you?
Not much new. Same
Yeah.
old stuff happens. Go to
So-
school and come home, and
What do you do when you get home after school?
I have to do my homework, and I have chores to do, so I have to do my chores. And then I get my free time after that.
How much free time do you get?
All depends on how much homework I have and how fast I do my chores. I have probably, gotta be bed by 9, so a couple hours.
Nice. What do you do with your free time?
I try to just go in my room, talk to my friends on the computer,
Yeah. Do you Skype them or
play games.
Hangouts, or what do you do?
Usually I just do a lot of texting. I'd like to Skype them, but my brother always has the computer and I can't use it.
Oh, right on.
I ask him to, but he
So how many siblings do you have?
won't let me. I have a brother and sister.
Older, younger?
They're both older than me, so I'm the youngest out of the three of us.
Okay.
So that's probably why I don't get to use the computer, because they are older and they think they don't need to let me use it.
So I was the youngest in my family also, and I was always picked on. How about you?
Yeah, I get picked on quite a bit.
Yeah, my brothers used to always, tie me up to something or lead me somewhere. They were ornery, that's for sure. Do your siblings ever terrorize you much?
Yeah, they start right when I get home. They get home earlier than I do, and I get locked out of the house, so I get pretty upset with them.
What do you do when they lock you out?
There's not much I can do. I get really frustrated.
Have you told your parents about this?
Not really. My older brother told me that I should never tell mom and dad, and if I do, they'll do something worse.
Yeah, my siblings used to threaten to beat me if I told my parents also. I can relate to that for sure. It's not very fun, is it?
No, it isn't.
Well, that's one thing I noticed that we have in common here, and I want you to know that if you do need someone to talk to or tell, you can come to me. All right, like my office door is always open in here. I know that they said that you're not supposed to tell your parents, but they never said not to come to me, right? Um, do you realize that I'm here for you in that matter?
Yeah, I know you're here, and I've thought about stopping in several times and talking to you when I had a bad day, just to vent all the anger and frustration I have because of the way my brother treats me. I just don't think it's right.
Um, would you say that he takes things too far at times, or is it just being an honorary older brother?
He's just a big bully for all that I see. Thinks he can treat everybody like that. He treats his friends like that, and I don't even know why they're his friends. He takes their things and doesn't give them back, and they get mad, but they're back the next day again. I'm not going to put up with him anymore.
Well, that's good. You definitely need to have you know, to be able to walk away from it and know when it's not a safe place. Does he ever pick on your sister?
Oh, no, my sister, she stands up for herself, and I think she kind of scares him a little bit.
Does she ever stand up for you?
So, he don't pick on. I don't think. I don't think I've ever asked her to, and I don't think she should. I'm a boy and she's a girl. Not make me look like a sister boy running to my bigger sister.
Well, actually, there's nothing wrong with that. So you know, I don't think that there's anything wrong with having your sister stick up for you. My concern, and that's kind of why I brought you in here, is for your safety. You know, if your brother is taking it too far, now you're not going to get in trouble for tattling on him, or I'm not going to go tell him. I just want you to be able to come to me if he does take that too far. Do you ever feel like he does become too abusive?
No, I don't think he will unless I tell somebody and he finds out about it. That's the only reason why I don't tell mom and dad, and he probably will never do anything to me. He's just a bully.
Well, you know you can come to me, right?
Yeah, yeah, I've thought about it, like I've said several times, and um, I think I will.
How come you didn't?
I don't know. Just thought I can handle on my own.
Yeah. Do you ever find yourself like crying, or just it just seems like it's too much?
I don't cry. It might affect me a little bit when I go to school and I don't try my best, and I just try to um, not pay attention to the teachers. I just kind of like to goof off.
Yeah.
Helps me not think about things.
Do you think you know, him being ornery or being a bully affects your schoolwork and your school life?
It might, because at home I can't enjoy being home and getting the same rights as he does with the computer, and not feeling maybe comfortable sometimes, because I see the way he treats his friends and I don't want him to treat me like that. So I just keep to myself at home.
On a scale from 1 to 10, 1 being that you're extremely scared of him for your life, and 10 being, he's just my brother, what would you say you are when you're around him?
When I'm around him and he's feeling like he wants to be a big bully, I might feel like a 7.
Okay, so 7 being you're pretty scared for yourself, for your safety?
When he wants to be a bully, yeah, but not all the time he's like that.
Okay. Is he like that around when your parents are around?
Yeah, of course, he acts just like Dad. Mom just tolerates it.
Tell me more about what your dad is like.
Dad is kind of knows it all. He thinks that what goes, what he says goes, even though if it's right or wrong. So I just kind of don't agree with it, and I just stay out of their way.
How about your mother?
Mom sees it, but she's dealt with it all these years and still alive. I guess that's all that matters.
It sounds almost like you and your mother just tolerate it to get through the day.
Yeah. Um, to tolerate their behaviors in the evening, and then to get to school the next day, and then I think that I can be myself, and maybe I just goof off and I really don't pay attention, and it affects me. But I'll be gone pretty soon. I am going to be um, old enough to leave, so I'll leave as soon as I get old enough. I don't have to put up with them anymore.
Okay. This may sound like a strange question, but did they ever like physically hit you or hurt you? Your father?
No, they don't hit me or hurt me.
Yeah.
No.
Another thing that I know that I ran into growing up is that sometimes the verbal abuse is worse than the actual beatings. You know, I know that my siblings were just being older brothers and, you know, would beat up on me. Just that was kind of it, and it wasn't like an abusive thing. I never felt like. But I did feel like the verbal was sometimes more painful. You know, they say just really hurtful things. Do your siblings, maybe your brother in particular, say hurtful things to you?
Yeah, he does. quite often, and it does hurt sometimes, but I'm a young man and I suck it up and just take it, and I'll be able to leave pretty soon.
Give me an example of something that he would say to you that would hurt your feelings.
Calls me a sissy all the time because I'm not tough like him.
Do you think you're tough?
Yeah, I think I'm a pretty good built young man, and I could hold my own.
It's definitely good to. I agree with you completely, and it's good to hear that you have confidence there. What are some other things that your brother would do to you that are hurtful?
He just shoves me against the wall and laughs at me because I won't stand up to him.
What would happen if you did stand up to him?
I don't even want to stand up to him. He's just a bully.
How come you don't want to stand up to him?
I'll probably be the one to get in trouble when Dad gets home.
You feel like you would get in trouble for standing up to your brother from your dad then?
Yeah, we'll probably have a little scuffle. And then he'll tell Dad I started it all.
I think I already know the answer to this, but who would you say is your father's favorite?
I probably ain't. Probably him, I would say.
Your brother?
Yeah.
Who would you say is your mother's favorite?
I don't know if Mom really cares.
Of course she cares.
She has her own stuff to go through, putting up with the two of them. Why would she worry about me?
Yeah. It sounds like your brother is just pretty much ornery to you, and you're not too concerned with your safety. But one thing that you would like to have is your computer. If I were to get you a computer, would that help out with things?
I'm not sure.
Well, I will try and
Yeah.
I'll try and see what else what I can do to get you a computer. What else would kind of maybe relieve the bullying or the ornery older brother from picking on you? Any other things I could do to help out?
No. I think I could do this.
Okay. You know, you're a lot like myself when I was younger, that I didn't want to stir anything up. I just wanted to go about my own business and not cause any trouble. I've definitely been in your shoes, and I know what it's like. I would like to continue our conversations, just because I also know that there's another side where it can just kind of be difficult at times, you know, and you even mentioned yourself that it's difficult. There were times you wanted to stop in and talk to me. in my office, but you just didn't. I want my office to be kind of a safe zone, kind of a one place where you can go and vent, and I'm not going to share it with anyone, your brothers or your family or anybody. But I would like, maybe we can even swap stories of how to not, how to avoid the older siblings. But maybe once a week, just swing in here.
Okay. That sounds like a plan.
Okay, so you'd be willing to
Kind of
come?
like you.
Okay. Yeah, I like you too. I like that we have the same thing in common, and maybe we can find some other things. Like I said, you're not in trouble or anything coming in here. I just want to get to know you a little bit better, and I know that if I was when I was younger, if I had someone just to go talk to stuff like this about, it would have been nice. And it may not be for you, but the offer is there.
So, can I come in when I want to get a break from class?
No, we're not. Yeah, we're not going to use the the counseling office just to get out of class. That's for sure. But we can set up a time. I think you have an off period on gold days. Maybe once a week, just on your off period, swing in here. But at this point, I don't think that it's necessary to be pulling you out of class. So let's work with that. Is that all right?
Yeah. We could do that. I'll stop in when I have the time.
Sounds like a plan. And if there's anything that comes up that needs immediate, if you just need someone to talk to immediately, whether it is during class or before school or whatever, you're always welcome in here, okay? So I don't want you to feel like you can't come in here during class. So.
Okay.
Alrighty. Have a good day.
Thank you.
I think I'm going to start at the end, John. I like how you kept the door open, but kind of put a squash to maybe invalid intentions for visits and placed a good boundary. I think in a school setting that's probably pretty important.
Yeah.
That was some of the things I saw when I dealt with kids.
I would imagine.
Telling them no.
Told them no, but within certain reasons, it's more than welcome.
Yeah, I wanted to tell them no without
not
feeling like I'm not approachable or that they can come in at any time. So I did have something come up and they only thought they could come during their off period. So.
Let's see. I wrote that. I think you use good examples of self-disclosure to build a therapeutic relationship. But oftentimes you would follow those self-disclosures with a close-ended question.
I can tell too.
Yeah. So it's like you build up this similarity, normalizing the behavior between the two of you, but then you'd kind of end, which Tammy didn't really end. She kind of expanded upon it, but maybe in other situations it could have just been ended with a yes or a no.
Yeah.
Let's see. I also put you were able to build a therapeutic relation and gather information that appeared to go well with your client as a child and feeling uncomfortable probably from having to talk about their family and stating that they do have concerns if their brother or their dad, knew that they were ratting them out or anything, that there could be consequences, severe consequences. You picked up quickly on the concern about the father, and perhaps maybe could have expanded a little more as to how the mom dealt with tolerating the issues. Um,
Yeah, she wasn't really giving me like a definitive, my brother's kicking my butt or my dad. So there was no like red alerts for me as far as physical abuse.
mhm.
That's why she was that's why he was brought in. And then I was thinking, well, maybe it's a verbal abuse. So then I was trying to go through, mom, dad, brother, and then I wasn't sure, like maybe the older sister. Sometimes they hide them behind everyone else. So I was trying to see if the older sister was the culprit, but I don't know. Tammy really wasn't giving me one person.
Okay.
And I think it's okay. I mean, like when you're digging through, you're not always going to find some problem, and I think that's kind of what the scenario turned out being is, you can dig through it all, but you're not going to find one person. I don't know.
But just to keep an eye on the situation and watch for more red flags.
Yeah, that's kind of where I was going with it.
One of the biggest red flags, I think, was how she rated her fear as a 7 on a scale from 1 to 10.
Yeah.
So by inviting her back, or him, I guess it was a him, by inviting him back and keeping the door open and just kind of regurgitating that this environment is safe, it's not going to get, told what you share here to your mom or your dad or your brother, and, I'm just here to help you. That was a good way of keeping the door open.
Yeah, and I think dealing with kids, like, some of them are very dramatic that it's a 10, but it's just an older brother being ornery. And then the next one can be, they can be fully abusive and they don't realize that
That's not normal.
Yeah, that's not normal.
Yeah. The self-disclosure kind of created a normalcy. That was your intention or not.
Yeah.
And maybe could be viewed as like minimizing it if it was a case that it was severe and it was physical. And
yeah, I was trying to not use the relating to them that much because I didn't want. It's like you said, it started to make it seem like it's acceptable, and I didn't want it to look that way. But at the same time, I wanted him to be able to know that I related to them and open up. We could share our mutual beatings together, I guess, and then I could determine if they were taken too far or not.
Okay. And then the only other comment I made was like how you started in the beginning, like that chunk of information you gave about, someone said some things and I wanted to talk to you. I'm not going to tell you who said them. Like, as a kid, like knowing someone was talking about them, I don't know how it would be handled, but I feel like perhaps being that blunt about it could have created some anxieties for some kids, and you're not going to ever have the perfect opening statement. Just wanted to give you a heads up, as like me personally, I've been like, well, who's talking about me? What did they say? What's going to happen? What's going to happen when I find out I told you? Stuff like that.
Right. I think that's the first thing that they want to know is where is this source coming from?
Yeah.
And at the same time, like just pulling them in and saying, hey, there's reports of abuse. That kind of gets them to go on the defense. If there is, then they may not want to open up. So, yeah, I really don't know the best way to approach that.
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe just small talk and lead into it. I don't know. Maybe that would have been a better way.
To build up to it rather than just to kind of lay it on the table?
Yeah, I don't know if just making small talk would be better. Because, the first thing they're going to want to know is, why am I in here?
Why am I in here? Yeah.
It seems like, if we all recall, when you're in high school, or school period, the only time you got called in the counselor's office is if there was a problem, not just to shoot the breeze. So.
But otherwise, I mean, overall, I think it was a good session, I guess I'd call it.
I felt okay with the reasons why I was there. It was really not a big issue to me about why somebody referred me because that was probably my lesser worries, I guess, when I was focusing on the abuse that was suspected. And I felt John did a good job on reflecting a lot of stuff that he went through and how I could relate to it in my own situation. Maybe could have focused on the support. He never asked me about friends, if I had friends that maybe I can go hang out with instead of being home and putting up with my brother who was just a bully.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Just kind of take me from the situation more. And focus on some of the positives that was in my life than putting up with my dad and my brother and watching my mom deal with it and not really actually helping me. So maybe
Yeah, I wanted to
that
dig
was
into
the area.
but it's like a lot more time.
Yeah, it's time consuming, sure, when you reflect on all that stuff, but it was good. I felt comfortable.
All right, thank you.
I just threw that last part in there because a lot of students from schools, when they get it, come in the counselor's office, they do it to ditch class, and
Oh yeah.
I mean, like, it's not looked as, nowadays it's not looked as somebody going to the counselor's office because you're in trouble. It's like because you just hang out because they have candy or whatever in
Yeah.
the office. So
Get out of class.
I thought I'd test the waters and see how you would react. And it's good practice to
Yeah.
actually practice it in like what we're doing now, so you'll know how to deal with real life situations.
Right. All right.
Well, I'm going to end the broadcast then.